My name is Blake. I'm 23. I live in the Ponds and I currently attend St. Paul's Castle Hill. My life was built up on short fixes. So I found my self-value in money, drugs, sex, alcohol, partying, just everything that was a short fix and a short getaway from life. And it was kind of just a spiral of live for the weekend every week. So I'd go to work, would be unhappy at work, get to the weekend and be like, what can we do? Like, let's get drunk, let's go party, let's go find girls. And it was just based on short fixes, which is never going to give long-term fulfillment. So I think it just kind of ended up going through a spiral of doing that every single week, and got to the point where I started self-reflecting on it, and I'm kind of like, I'm stuck. Like, where am I going doing this all the time? And I think it was then when I was like I'm in a search for something more. Like, there's got to be something more than just doing that every single weekend. So I think that kind of started a spiral for me of mental health, because I could never find fulfillment in anything. And the more I would question if there's something more, the more I would dig into using those short fixes or those short getaways to kind of implement something that meant something in my life. So continuing with that, mental health kind of went down a spiral. Started to feel super depressed, super anxious. And it got to the point where I was just using drugs every day. And then kind of got to a point where one night I was feeling super down, jumped in the car, started driving. I was just bawling my eyes out and didn't really have any answers for anything. And usually I would call like the people I was hanging out with at the time, but for some reason, my brain just went to calling an old friend who I hadn't seen for a couple of years since school. It was just a guy that I would play games till late in the morning. When I would chat to him, he would be that shoulder and that kind of loving, caring person to talk to. But I probably didn't value that as much before this moment. So gave him a call, just said, man, like, I haven't spoken to you for ages. He kind of answered the phone like, hello? And I was just like, man, my mental health isn't going great. I don't know what's going on, but can I chat to you? And he was like, yeah. He dropped everything, 5 minutes. He goes, I'll meet you at the park near his house. So we met up. I'm still crying. I don't know what's going on. And he just started sharing the gospel with me. He had told me many times, but every single time I'd just be like, who's this Jesus guy? Like, sure. But that time it felt different, and I ended up giving my life that night. And it was the whole thing of when I was driving, the question in my brain was, God, I'm scared. I don't know what's going on. I'm upset. But if you're there, like, I want to know who you are or what my purpose is. And I started praying in the car, and that was the weirdest experience ever, because I'd never prayed before. And that was before I'd given my life. I was just praying. I was scared. The biggest thing for me now past that is just the understanding that my heart could be changed in an instant. After that day, there was no want to go and do the things that I was doing or find those short fixes. It was just, let's find out more about God. Let's find out more about this Jesus guy. Let's find out more about what I can do to grow my faith and understand that more. Because I think there's this problematic view of giving the gospel as a fix for everything, right? Like, if when you become a Christian, you're no longer going to feel any sort of mental health. But I think it's important to remember, like, we live in a broken world and it's a future eternal promise for us. So I still struggled with mental health past becoming a Christian, but I think my foundation and my rock was now set. So there was someone walking with me through that mental health. And I think the biggest thing for me now, learning from my mental health, and I think God's used that in a way of teaching me that we put such a big fear on failing and such a big fear on rejection and being scared to share the gospel. It's so key to remember that I don't have the power to change their hearts. Only God does. And God will move through you, move through me when you're telling people the gospel, when you're sharing that message. So it's not about what you can do, it's about what God can do through you. So you have to not be afraid that you're going to say the wrong thing or not have all the answers. It's okay to not have the answers, but God and the Holy Spirit will work through you in those things.